Hi, my name is Garrett Christopher, and this is my YouTube channel, Garrett Sports Take. So we are between seasons as far as the NFL and Major League Baseball is concerned. Major League Baseball, I think it was last week or so, I decided to go ahead and play a season this season. So I want to talk about it a little bit, specifically of the Dodgers. So I just thought I'd put something out there real quick, and I'm not making any predictions yet, nothing like that. We kind of know the teams are going to, the Dodgers are going to be a good team. A lot of teams are going to be good teams, but I want to chat a little bit. And I want to talk about Trevor Bauer a little bit too. I want to present something to you as a kind of a devil's advocate for him, for Mr. Bauer, and see what you think. What are your comments on that? And by the way, please visit my other YouTube channel, Garrett's Movie Take. I just talked about a movie called For Love of the Game. Kevin Costner starred in several years ago, and Miss Kelly Preston, God rest her soul, was also in that movie. John C. Reilly was also in it. And so check out that. I talk about that film. And I also recently reviewed The Batman, so please check that out as well. Garrett's Take, I've kind of put on hiatus. I'm going to bring up a very, very heavy subject in about another month or so, but for right now, I'm leaving it alone. Okay, so by the way, I'm a self-published author. Please visit bn.com or amazon.com to see my 5 titles. The latest being The Takeover, part 1 of a sci-fi series. I'm working on part 2 as we speak. Well, not as we speak, but today, okay? I also have 3 audiobooks, which the third of the audiobooks, The Takeover, I present on my weekly podcast, 10, 12 minutes at a time in little snippets. We're about 60% of the way through at this point, so please go into on Soundcloud or Spotify onto Garrett Christopher, check out my podcast, and starting at section 1 of the Takeover series, you'll get the full audiobook. But if you like what you hear, go on to Amazon or to Audible and purchase that sucker, as well as the other 2 audiobooks that I have, which is The Chair and The Studio Musician. All right, there are the plugs. Let's talk about baseball. So I think that most fans would say that the owners were the problem behind the lockout and that kind of a thing. And it takes 2 to tango. And I don't know I didn't look into all the different reasons, and I know where some things, there's always a money thing, right? That's always a big money thing. And did the Players Association get what they were looking for? Yeah, you shoot for this and you get this, and the owner, same thing, you shoot for this and you get this, kind of come together. I'm glad to see a DH in both leagues. Maybe you're someone that feels like, the DH doesn't belong in the National League. Phooey. I'm not spending 3 or 4 minutes of my life. The older I get, every minute that I live is precious, okay? I'm not spending 3 or 4 minutes of my time watching this guy, and 95% of them can't hit at all, because that's not what they do. They're not hitting every day. They can't do that. They're athletes. I get that. And at one time, they were great hitters. But when you become a major league pitcher, and I know there are a few, but when you become a great pitcher, for the most part, you just can't work on the hitting too much. So they really want to watch you, botch the bunt. You can't play hit and run with a pitcher. And for the most part, a pitcher's going to have 1, 2, maybe 3 home runs their entire, career. Come on, DH, baby, let's do it. And my Dodgers are set. Now, at this point, Freddie Freeman from the Atlanta Braves has not signed anywhere yet, although a couple of things are leading us to believe he's going to leave the Braves for sure, because they signed a dude, Mr. Olson, I believe, and then right away gave him an 8-year contract as a first baseman. So Freddie's not going back to Atlanta. We know that for a fact. And then we heard that everyone in the AL East was looking at Freddie Freeman, with the Yankees re-upped with Mr. Rizzo. So I don't think they're going to get him either. Where would Freddie want to go? I guess he's an Orange County native. Would he want to go to Boston? I mean, if you're going to play baseball, there's only a few places you just want to play, right? As a Yankee, again, Rizzo's there now, so I don't think that's going to happen unless he's going to DH over there. Boston, you want to play in Boston? Possibly. LA, being an Orange County dude, I don't know if he was an LA fan or an Angels fan. If he was an Angels fan, I don't know all that about him, but we'll see what happens. I think the big thing is, I think Freddie's 32, and he's looking for possibly his last contract. So he wants, 6, 7 years, 8 years in some cases. I hope the Dodgers don't do that. Not that I don't like Freddie Freeman. I think he's great, but I just don't, I don't see that. And they've stayed away from those kinds of contracts with most people, although Mookie Betts got one of them, but Mookie's a lot younger than Freddie Freeman, right? So there you have it. Do you want Freddie Freeman? I looked at the lineup for the Dodgers. They'd be just fine without him, for sure. And I think that locking him up on a 7-8 year deal, $35-40 million a year, doesn't make any sense. I will say this, and I told a coworker about this. I'm watching Cody Bellinger swing. It still scares me. And I know at the end of his season last year worked out pretty well, but it still scares me. I watched Max Muncy's swing, nice and compact, powerful, and just right to it, right? Where Cody, longer to come down. I know he's lanky. He has different body type than Max. I get that. But Still the hitch, and still the dipping and under, and the opportunity for a pop up, or to not be able to hit the outside, high pitch. Yeah, I don't know. It scares me. If I knew that Cody Bellinger was going to be the Cody Bellinger of 2.5 years ago, which that was, even close to that, then I would say forget Freddie. We've got our other lefty. You got Max in there. You got the other lefty. You're good from the right side of the plate. You're good with that. But we don't. What's going to happen? But I'll tell you what. They've got up and down the lineup. They've got it. With or without Freddie, they've got a great lineup. It's the pitching. That's the scary part. Dustin May. This is the kid with the crazy red hair. He went out. He's not going to be back until probably middle of the season this year. Tony Gonsolin. You can't really count on him as being your third or fourth starter, maybe a fifth plug-in at times. Clayton did re-sign for 1 year with the Dodgers. That was kind of a surprise for most people. They thought he was going to Texas for sure after Corey went over there. Remember Corey Seager? By the way, I know I talk a little smack here and there, but look, Corey Seager, incredible athlete, incredible character. He was a Dodger and great for the Dodger organization. Heck of a player. He carried us into the 2020 championship, us. And good luck to you, Corey. I'm kind of sad you left, and I'm kind of bummed about the fact that you decided not to stay with the LA your entire career. But you know what? You got to do what you got to do. Thank you for all that you did for the LA Dodgers. Appreciate you. All right, let's get beyond that kind of mushy stuff madness. So all right, so Clayton re-upped for another year. He says he's healthy. They've had a few days back in spring training now. I guess the first spring training game is on the 18th. Wow. And these guys stay in shape though, right? They keep it going all year long. And the season begins, I think, April 7th. So it's pushed back about a week, but they're going to get all 162 in as far as they're concerned. And that's good. That's good for the fan. And hopefully some of these changes they're making will kind of help move things forward and keep it going. They're going to test some things, I believe, in the minor leagues this year and hopefully implement them in 2023. We're talking about pitch clock. We're talking about the umpiring thing. Look, I know the NFL misses some calls, right? Specifically holding or pass interference calls on the outside with wide receivers and DBs. I get that. We know the basketball. These guys travel like crazy. They, flip the ball over like crazy and, palming and that kind of a thing. That's regular, and traveling, all that stuff too. But to me, of all the sports that continuously get it wrong game after game after game, it is behind the plate. Depends what ump it is. And yeah, keep in mind, I get it. As a hitter, and these hitters, now they're hitting just as much as the umps are umping. And the umps, only every fourth game are behind the plate. So 20-25% of the time, they're behind the plate. The rest of the time, they're at first or second. They've done this all their life. I get that, or from college or whatever. But hitters don't know what's coming, and neither does the ump, right? So in other words, what I'm saying is you got the pitcher and you got the catcher. Ump is behind the catcher, hitter's over here, right, either side. So the catcher calls for a changeup, okay? Here's the pitcher. He's going to throw a changeup. Now he's hiding the ball in the glove. The hitter doesn't know what's coming, and neither does the ump. So what's he supposed to do? Look for a fastball at 101 or a changeup at 87 or a curveball at 75? And what if it's down in the dirt? And then what if the catcher, then he's here and the catcher's setting up outside? Well, then he scoots over also. Now it's a matter of angles. It's a lot of stuff, and I get it. And I think there is necessary aid. On the television, you've got this rectangle sitting there, depending on the batter, the low point, the high point, and the size of the plate for that particular batter. Why not utilize it? I don't get it. In tennis, I've talked about this, I think, last time I did one of these. In tennis, they get it right. The umps, if it's challenged, there is the electronic showing you where the ball sat exactly on with the line, in or out, in a story. Why not do the same thing in baseball? But we'll slow it down. Not really. Here is the electronics. The umps behind the plate. They have some system where they know ball or strike. Strike one. Ball 2, whatever, just call it, and there you go. Why not? Why not do it? I don't get it. I really don't get it. I understand that there's fun in the sport in terms of, in any sport, in terms of like the human element, right? But the human element in baseball is enormous. The most successful hitters in the game of all time are only successful a third of the time. A third. Try that as a basketball player, well, unless you're, a really bad free thrower, or as an NFL quarterback, or as a tennis pro. Come on, try that. It doesn't work. So it's like there's already the human element. The fact that trying to go after the ball, running after it, catching it, the double play, the chance for this play, all kinds of things, right? I mean, there's a lot of movement in baseball as far as like when you're running and actually going after the ball and that kind of a thing, right? Trust me, the human element is there. Let's take this, because I almost said Dutch Rennert. If you're not old enough to know who Dutch Rennert is, you missed out. Do me a favor and YouTube Dutch Rennert. This guy, first of all, he was a heck of an umpire. And second of all, I loved his call from behind the plate, right? When it was a striker ball like that. Strike one! A little loud, I'm sure. Sorry. He was great. Dutch Rennert. Love that guy. Joe West, not a fan. Okay. Anyway, I think Joe retired. Did he retire this year or last year? I can't remember. Who cares? Sorry, Joe. You've been a great umpire. All right. Yeah. Look, there's a human element. Let's get past this thing. It's just, it's too wacky. It's too crazy. And they're still going to argue. I mean, the batter's still going to fuss because, again, you don't know what's coming. And look, I've never stood there and watched a major league pitcher throw a curveball at my head. But I did it in Little League, and I still ducked out of the way. Now, I'm no great athlete. I'm pretty good, but not great. But I can just imagine. But yeah. I was going to talk about Trevor Bauer. We'll have to go to a second one. We'll talk specifically about Trevor Bauer. Where did I go off on this? About umpiring and about all kinds of stuff. All right, let's go to another one. We'll talk about Trevor. So we'll do a part 2. This, my mid-season, about to start baseball. I won't talk about any kind of records yet. We'll wait until maybe middle part of April, and we'll talk about that. My predictions for the upcoming Major League Baseball season. All right. Hey, thanks so much for checking in. Please check out part 2. I want to talk about Trevor Bauer, and be ready because I'm going to be on his side for a minute. We'll see what happens. All right. GoPro, stop recording.